Hi, here we are with presentation 4, the last one of the semester. So I'm excited for this, and hopefully it is educational and helps out the viewer. So we're going to be talking about whistleblowers today. And so whistleblowers, to me, it's always an interesting topic because it kind of has a negative connotation, but does it need to have that connotation? And I don't think so. I think it's a good thing. But we kind of think of it in a negative light. So we're going to talk about this example today. So there's this article. It's called "He Blew the Whistle," and so this is about a guy. His name was James F. Alderson. He was a finance officer at a small rural hospital in Whitefish, Montana. This hospital was owned by like a bigger healthcare provider that owned, lots of little hospitals. They're called Coram. They actually, I think, own the hospital in Mesquite, Nevada, just right here. But when he was, working, doing his thing, and Coram had just taken over the hospital, and his new supervisor came and asked him to prepare 2 cost reports instead of 1, because what Coram had been doing is they would present like a more aggressive report to the government. And it was really just like this way that they wanted to be able to book more revenue. And so he knew that this was wrong. This was fraudulent behavior. And so he refused to do so. And he was pushed out of the company and he was fired, shortly after that. And this made life pretty hard for him. So for the next few years, he was, trying to get jobs at other hospitals. And he talked to a friend who mentioned that he could file a lawsuit on behalf of the United States. And so he drafted a lawsuit and filed it in the state of Montana, and it took several years of a lot of legal fighting, but eventually the government joined him, and the lawsuit was successful. It took down a lot of healthcare executives that were involved in this fraudulent financial reporting, right? And so we want to compare this to how did Alderson act in accordance with the IMA Statement of Ethical Professional Practice. And so this statement, it has a couple like parts. It has, all the principles. There's 4 major principles: honesty, fairness, objectivity, and responsibility. It has some standards for people to follow: competence, confidentiality, integrity, and credibility. And then it also has some steps for resolving ethical issues. Like communicating with your immediate supervisor in situations, or maybe with another appropriate level of management. There's an anonymous helpline with the IMA. And then they suggest maybe consulting your own attorney or legal counsel. And so Alderson, I think that he actually did a really, really good job in following these standards. And so he was very competent, right? When I hear that, he knew his stuff. He knew what was right. He knew what was wrong. And he knew his stuff, and he was able to apply that in the moment. Confidentiality, I think that during the lawsuit, he had to show that to a really extreme degree, right? He had to stay quiet about all this stuff that was going on until the court unsealed those documents. And so that was something that he was very good at as well. A difference between knowing what's right and doing it is integrity, right? And so he did what was right. He actually acted according to his values and what he believed. And then, he stayed credible. It made him even more credible going through all this. His new board even said they respected him more. As far as resolving these issues, I think that he could have done maybe a little better job. When his immediate supervisor was asking him to do these things, he could have spent maybe a little more time thinking through, what can I do? Who can I talk to? Can I go to this board of directors? But going through the legal system, he didn't consult an attorney right away, but he educated himself. He went and he found out what he could do to fix this or to address this issue. And he committed himself, and he spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, and hopefully he'll be rewarded for it. He'll get 25% of whatever the settlement is. And this is how Alderson, he blew the whistle, and he was very successful at it. And I think it's just an example to us that we need to know what's right. We need to be able to act according to that, and just be able to be brave, I guess, and to act with that moral courage. Thanks.